All right. We are online. We are. Yes, 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 we are. Good deal. Good deal. All right. Checking. Everybody's on here. Let's get. Who's online and what are we seeing? Everybody good? All right. Looks like we're streaming live on YouTube. We're on Facebook. We're on LinkedIn. Everything's coming through, checking on. Good. All right. Hey, everyone. Brian Hoagley here. Wanted to just say a couple things. Had a couple ideas. Wanted to run past you. Discussion that I've been having with some folks that's been, I think, pretty interesting. Follow me on this, okay? Every organization right now, or most organizations right now, if you're a CISO in a position looking at your infrastructure, looking at the things that you've got in front of you, okay? You've got your real estate, okay? All your people currently operating, or were up until a point, in a building at a location. Now, this is, aside from the whole business continuity, everyone goes over collectively to another location and works, right? We know that's not happening. Everybody's going off working from home, okay? This forced work from home environment, everybody's here. I think an interesting consideration for folks to look at if you're the CISO or a CIO, you've built a tremendous amount of infrastructure into this headquarters, right? We're talking enterprise level, work here, folks. You've got a lot going on here, a lot of investments, right? You've got a lot of infrastructure to support a lot of people or number of people in a single location, possibly even a disaster recovery, right, site that you have as well and you've invested in to make functional. So you've got a lot of infrastructure in both of these locations. That infrastructure is costing you money. This infrastructure to manage and continue is not probably costing you as much money to maintain because people are working at home, right? They've got their own internet. There's a different discussion for if you're going to subsidize, the internet for your workforce, in the future, but that's a lower cost than trying to maintain this. What I'm starting to think about is these costs are really going to start being looked at by your CEO, by your CFO, as to why do we need to maintain them, okay? The unfortunate side to this pandemic and this forced, right, there's a lot of unfortunate sides, but a forced work from home environment is that there's this economic impact inside of, right, a number of companies. So everyone's turning their eyes towards costs. Where can they cut costs? Where can they kind of shore up, those assets that they have on their books? If this theory, this idea is right, what happens to the commercial real estate market when everyone starts realizing, CEOs and maybe just other company holdouts have realized that this can work for their organization? And granted, not every organization, not every company, not every sector, whatever, can allow or afford people working from home. But those that do, that have traditional workforce, plans and housing and infrastructure and buildings where everyone works from, are they going to be in a pinch and be forced to think, do I really need this building? Do I really need this headquarters? Do I need this infrastructure? And if that question comes down from the CFO or the CEO, push comes to shove and say they start getting rid of these assets, the CIO and ultimately whoever's in charge of that IT infrastructure is going to be forced to think about that infrastructure itself. Because if you remove the building, no longer is that infrastructure required because it's not going to be anywhere. If you remove your disaster recovery location from being the single space where everyone's going to go work, you no longer need the infrastructure anymore because maybe this has proved, right, to work for you and your organization. Well, now if the CIO is beginning to think about removing the infrastructure, removing the DR site from the books, from the plans, now comes what is the CISO or the CI or the Chief Security Officer, Chief Information Security Officer. Hey, Alan, how you doing? Good to see you. Thanks for watching. Out of Texas. If that is forced, that infrastructure is removed, what are the options for the CISO to start adopting and playing into? What's interesting is like the financial impacts of removing a building have to security, because the plans that maybe the CISO has had all along and in concert with the CIO have been protect and create an environment that allows this infrastructure to exist. Obviously pushing towards more, maybe more cloud, right, operations, right, maybe even some limited work from home, but never did anybody, think, in a lot of organizations, everyone is going to be in this piece. This will always be available. We need to maintain some data center. We need to be able to maintain some infrastructure. What are the options now for CISOs and CIOs to start considering when you remove a building from the books of a company as an asset? And I think it's an interesting conversation to start getting ready for as we come out of this, right? And I think as I've laid out, as I've laid out the kind of the curve of things, right? Which is what? Oh man, I'm gonna lose my picture. You're not even gonna be able to see it, so don't worry. But that curve in that time after we come out of this, before possibly something else, or just getting prepared for the future, how do we better set up for this, right? And how do we start removing and disconnecting the thinking about having to either backhaul, to your core, right? Having to rely on that, having to even staff it or even put anything in to protect it. Because if the building's removed, there's nothing there. You've now moved everything to your cloud infrastructure and your work from home, because the new corporate architecture, the new corporate infrastructure might just look like this. And if that's the case, what do you actually need to do this? Well, you need the same type of protections, detections, and response capabilities as you did in your traditional, right, investments, your traditional structure, but you need to apply them differently. So the question that I'm going to challenge CISOs and other senior IT professionals in their respective companies to do is prepare for this conversation to happen, if it hasn't happened yet, but in the next couple quarters, because I believe that the commercial real estate market is going to take a massive hit, because these folks are rightfully going to look at their balance sheets and look at removing assets that they no longer need, because it's been proven to them that work can be done differently. And if they don't maybe remove the entire thing, but they shrink their real estate, that is going to have a knock-on effect to how the CIO thinks and what the CIO is willing to fund, which is going to have a knock-on effect to how is the CISO going to secure it. So just a quick hit and some thoughts that I had today while I was recording a number of other interviews. Very, very good stuff coming out. Yaron Levy from Blue Cross Blue Shield Kansas City. We recorded this morning. Very interested to see that one come out. Great discussion about third-party vendor management.
Another really great episode that was also recorded. You'll notice because I'm going to be wearing the same thing, right, uh, in every single one that I put out in the next couple of weeks. But Leslie Weinstein from the U.S. Army came on, talked to us about the CMMC and the new implications of that standard for the defense industrial base, and a number of others. Some folks from the manufacturing MXD Manufacturing Association in Chicago. We've had folks come on from them, along with a number of others. I'm just behind on editing, so I can't wait. So I wanted to hit this concept while I was thinking about it because, well, live TV or live whatever, wherever you're watching from now, it's live. It'll obviously be coming back out again, but comment down below. Let me know, what are your thoughts. Do you believe that leadership in organizations will start removing these types of assets from their balance sheets and their books, or start moving in this direction? Do you think you're going to have these types of conversations coming up? Is this a risk that you're going to have to start addressing now that this is proved to work out? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Comment down below, or wherever it is the comment section is around me on here. But yeah, this is something that I think is gonna probably hit, and people could stand to be ready for. So thanks for watching. Brian Hoagley with CISO Life Live. Just a quick hit. Hopefully you guys are doing great on a Wednesday. Who even knows what day it is anymore? Is it Wednesday? Let me check. Yeah, it's Wednesday, the 13th. Stay safe out there, everyone. Be safe. Be good to each other. Get outside when you can. All right? Take care.